Okay, so starting with a worksheet for states of matter, हमारा first chapter था Edexcel IGCSE Chemistry. We covered that in the previous class, and today we'll be solving some questions from states of matter chapter. Now, in front of you, you can see a diagram that shows a kettle of boiling water. We have water droplets, water vapor, kettle, or आपको show है. Now, as the water vapor cools, it turns into droplets of liquid water. The change of state when water vapor, which means gas, changes into liquid water is described as इस change को हम क्या कहते हैं? When there's a gas to liquid change, when something changes from gas to liquid, we call it condensation. Describe what happens when water vapor cools to form liquid water. Your answer should include the change in energy, arrangement, and movement of particles. So we have to literally tell three changes that is taking place during the state change. अगर हम change in energy की बात करें first, if we talk about the change in energy and how is that taking place, तो क्या क्या हो रहा है? Obviously, particles lose kinetic energy when they go from liquid, when they go from gas to liquid. One thing always remember, whenever something goes from solid to liquid to gas, आपके पास क्या हो रहा है? You are having an increase in kinetic energy. When something goes from gas to liquid to solid, there is always a decrease in kinetic energy. So here we are also going from इसमें जा रहे थे हम gas to liquid जा रहे हैं ना, तो gas to liquid में there would always be a decrease in kinetic energy. Remember this point. What about the change in arrangement? हमने देखा है कि जो liquid particles होते हैं they are closer together, whereas the gas particles they are not closer together, they are pretty much far apart. तो अगर मैं arrangement की बात करूँ, when they are moving from gas to solid, now gas को far apart होते हैं. When they start forming a liquid, what happens? The particles start to move closer. Distances decrease. जो उनके distance होते हैं between the particles, they decrease and they pack more closely. You can write they can pack more closely. What about the change in movement? Movement को क्या होगा उनकी? Obviously, they won't move as freely as gas. They won't move as freely as before. क्योंकि gas में they were moving very much freely, but when they become liquid, they won't be moving as freely as they were actually moving before. They would be moving slowly. Yeah, you can say their speed decreases. In chemistry, the state symbols solid, liquid, gas, and aqueous are often used. The table shows some changes of state. Complete the table to show the state symbol before and after the change. The change of state को अगर याद देखिए, water boils in a kettle. What is the state symbol before the change? जो हम अगर बात करें, what was the state symbol before the change? Water boil हो रहा था. It was liquid. When the water has boiled, what is the state symbol after change? It would be gas. Ethene is converted into polyethylene. Now this is from organic chemistry, but ethene itself is a gas, and when it becomes polyethylene, it becomes a solid. Crystals of iodine sublime. Sublime का क्या मतलब है? Crystals थे, they were a solid. Crystals were solid, but when they sublime, what are you going to become? They are going to become gas. वो बन जाएंगे आपके पास gas. Some marble chips are added to a solution of hydrochloric acid. Complete the equation for the reaction that occurs by writing the appropriate state symbol for each formula. Calcium carbonate है. Calcium carbonate marble chips हैं. They are marble chips. So what would be the state symbols? This would be solid. Acid जो है that is always aqueous. या ionic compounds है या aqueous होते हैं. Calcium chloride would also be an ionic compound which is aqueous. Water H2O always remains as a liquid, and carbon dioxide would be a gas form. Yeah, it was carbon dioxide. Now, which state symbol is used more often for the elements of periodic table at room temperature? In the periodic table, most of the elements you can keep in mind, they are mostly all of them are solid. आप जब room temperature की बात करते हैं, most of them are solid at room temperature. This question is about the states of matter. The diagram shows the three states of matter of a substance: solid, liquid और gas आ गए हैं. हम यहाँ पे each circle represents a molecule of the substance. Complete the diagram by drawing 6 circles to represent molecules of a gas. तो हम far apart 6 circle बना देते हैं. This is how you show 6 circles and gas. Which statement is correct about the movement or arrangement of the molecules of the substance? Now, when we talk about gas, they move randomly in a solid state, they move randomly in liquid state, they are arranged in fixed position in the liquid state, and they are arranged in fixed position in the gas state. They move randomly in solid state. This is wrong. Solid state में तो fixed होते हैं. They move randomly in liquid state. Yes, this can be the correct answer. कि liquid के अंदर they can move. They are arranged in fixed position in a liquid state. No, they are fixed in fixed position in a solid state, not a liquid state. They are arranged in fixed position in a gas state. No, it's still solid. पहले मैं कहता they move randomly in solid state. No, they are not moving randomly in solid. They are moving in liquid and gas. Remember one thing: liquid and gas, they are both combined, known as fluid. What is fluid? Fluid comes from the word flow. Fluid जो है वो originate करता है from the word flow. Flow means move. They can move randomly. So liquid and gases, they are both classified as fluids. Which term is used for solid changing to a liquid? Let's say solid ice है. Ice is changing into liquid. Now solid to liquid change is known as melting. Some cold water is poured into a conical flask and a bung is inserted. The diagram shows the flask. After a few minutes, we have air and water vapor. ये liquid water है. What is occurring in the flask? ये जो liquid water है और यहाँ पे जो gas है, क्या हो रहा है? Liquid is turning into gas. उसके बाद gas जो है, gas might also turn again into liquid. So liquid to gas जो है, that is evaporation. यहाँ पे कह सकते हैं. Because you are not heating. Can you see the sign of heating? No. This solution is not being heated. The evaporation है. उसके बाद again when it is turning from gas to liquid, यहाँ पे condensation भी हो रही है. So what would be the answer? First, it is changing from liquid to gas, that is evaporation. Then again from gas to liquid, that is known as condensation. So आपके पास answer B हो जाएगा, condensing and evaporating. This is what is occurring inside the flask. Which formula represents a substance that is not present in the flask? Flask के अंदर कौन सी substance नहीं है? Nitrogen gas. H2O gas तो है, H2O liquid भी है, नाइट्रोजन लिक्विड भी है, बट नाइट्रोजन गैस जो है वो बंक की वजह से क्या किया हुआ है? नहीं, नाइट्रोजन गैस भी होगी, बल्कि नाइट्रोजन गैस इज प्रेजेंट इन द एयर. आपको पता है कि आपकी एयर जो होती है दैट इज 78% नाइट्रोजन. योर एयर इज द एयर अराउंड यू राइट नाउ इज 78% नाइट्रोजन, बट नाइट्रोजन लिक्विड इज नॉट प्रेजेंट. इट इज नॉट प्रेजेंट इन द फ्लास्क. मतलब कि नाइट्रोजन लिक्विड का है, लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन कहाँ से आ गया? ये देखिए, लिक्विड वाटर में क्या क्या होता है? लिक्विड वाटर के अंदर हो जाएगा H2O. लिक्विड वाटर वेपर में क्या क्या हो जाएगा? वाटर वेपर मींस H2O गैस. और एयर का क्या मतलब है? एयर के अंदर यू हैव नाइट्रोजन गैस, बिकॉज एयर हैज 78% नाइट्रोजन, 21% ऑक्सीजन, 0.04% कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, फिर आर्गन एंड अदर गैसेस एज वेल. बट लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन, अगर हम बात करें लिक्विड नाइट्रोजन की, दैट इज एब्सेंट राइट नाउ. क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 को देखते हैं. When a liquid evaporates at room temperature, it changes into a gas. तो हम क्या कह रहे हैं? ये liquid है and it is changing into a gas. The diagram shows the arrangement of particles in a liquid, and now it is going to change into a gas. I guess we'll have to draw 4 particles of gas. एक यहाँ पे और एक यहाँ. All you have to do, just do carefully read the question, whether it's asking for 6 particles, 4 particles, 5 particles, वो सारा आपने चेक करना होगा. Describe the movement of particles in gas. Gas में particles कैसे move करते हैं? वो हम यहाँ move कर देते हैं. We have to describe that movement as free and random movement. आपकी जो gas particles की movement they would be moving freely, and it would be completely random. Explain why heating a liquid causes it to evaporate more quickly. अगर हम एक liquid को heat करें तो क्या होगा? Remember, whenever you increase the temperature, you increase the kinetic energy. When you increase the kinetic energy, उनकी overall energy भी increase कर जाती है. And then क्या होता है? मैं यहाँ पे लिखता हूँ. When you increase the temperature, particles gain kinetic energy. So the most energetic particles escape the surface of the liquid, escape the surface of the liquid. तो जो particles surface पे होते हैं, they gain a lot of energy and then they escape from the surface of the liquid. Why do they do this? Because they easily overcome the forces. जो forces liquid के अंदर होती हैं, the forces that has binded the liquid particles together, those bonds are broken, those forces are overcome, and when those forces are overcome, it turns into a gas. Surface of the liquid, because they overcome those forces. The diagram shows some pieces of apparatus that you may find in a laboratory. A, B, C. Where did B and C and all of them go? हमने कहाँ से देखने के B, C. This must be B. This must be E. ठीक है. अच्छा. Complete the table by giving the name of each piece of apparatus. Now we have not done this till now, but I'll just tell you. A जो होता है, this is known as a measuring cylinder. You use some particular volume of liquid to measure. और अगर आपने measure करना, there are something calibrations given on the cylinder that helps you tell the volume of liquid in centimeter cube. There are a lot of varieties of measuring cylinder, जैसे कि 10 centimeter का, 25, 50, 100, 500. B क्या है? B is known as a conical flask. ये जो आपके पास है, this is a conical flask. हम इसको filter funnel भी no, this is conical flask. B को हम कहते हैं filter funnel. What do we call B? We call it a filter funnel. C is a conical flask. D जो है, D को हम क्या कहते हैं? D is a normal test tube. ये क्या है? This is just a normal test tube. What is E? E को हम नाम देते हैं pipette. Pipette क्या है? Pipette is used to measure 25 centimeter cube of exact liquid, not more, not less. ये exact 25 centimeter cube of liquid को measure करता है, and we call E as a pipette. F क्या है? F is normal cylinder. ये हम इसको beaker भी कह सकते हैं. This is a normal beaker just to pour some liquid, just to keep some liquid यहाँ पे. This is a beaker. Give the letters of the two pieces of apparatus that could be used to measure an accurate volume of liquid. इनमें से कोई दो piece of apparatus बताएं that can be used to measure an accurate volume of a liquid. Well, a measuring cylinder can measure like 50 centimeter cube. It can measure 100 centimeter cube of, or pipette. Pipette can also measure exact volume such as 25 centimeter cube. तो अगर मैं यहाँ पे लिखूं give letters of the two pieces of apparatus, my answer would be A can be used to measure something accurately, and E also. A measuring cylinder and a pipette can be used because I told you measuring cylinder की बहुत types होती है. 25 centimeter cube वाला भी होगा, 50 centimeter cube वाला भी होगा, 100 वाला भी होगा. The compound with the formula H2O can exist in three states of matter. The names of these three states are shown in the boxes. The numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 represent changes of state. Ice क्या होती है? Solid. Water क्या है? Liquid. What is steam? Gas. The particles of H2O are arranged differently in each state. In which state are the particles furthest apart? कौन सी state के अंदर जो particles हैं, they are the furthest apart? Well, that would be your steam. आपके पास आंसर क्या हो जाएगा? Steam. What if I ask you in which state do the particles have the least energy? Least energy किसमें होगी? The solid ones. क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया था जो solid होता है, for example, in this case it would be ice. And in which state are the particles arranged in a regular pattern? That would be again ice. So आपको energy होती है that is always the highest at gaseous state, and the energy is always lowest at the solid state. Change of state one is called state of change one. कौन सी है? This is one क्या है? Solid to liquid. What do we call solid to liquid? Melting. Change of state 4 is called state 4 क्या है? This is from gas to liquid. Gas to liquid क्या होता है? That is known as condensation. The term sublimation is also used for a change of state. Sublimation is the change of state from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, gas to liquid, or solid to gas. Of course, your answer would be solid to gas. This is known as sublimation. अगर कहीं sublime हो गया है, इसको हम sublimation कहते हैं. What is desublimation? Desublimation would be completely opposite. That would be gas to solid. Heat energy is released when steam changes to water. Which term is used to describe the type of energy change? अब एक चीज आपको बताएं. When a gas turns into liquid, we haven't studied this yet, but हमेशा the reaction would always be a release of energy, which is known as exothermic reaction as well. इसको हम exothermic भी कहेंगे क्योंकि आपके पास एनर्जी रिलीज होती है. दिस इज नो मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. ये हमारे चैप्टर नंबर 6 के अंदर आएगा. Write an equation including state symbols for the change of state from steam to water. तो कैसे लिखते हैं? अब steam भी H2O ही है, steam भी H2O होती है. If I tell you what is steam, H2O, but the state symbol would be a gas. Just a second. Acha ji. So whenever you see steam and water are the same thing, steam and water are the same thing. The only difference is one of these is a gas and one of these is a liquid. So when you write an equation from changing from steam to water, क्या करेंगे? H2O gas would turn to H2O liquid. Moving on. The three states of matter are solid, liquid, and gas. The diagram shows how the particles are arranged in each of these states. Use words from the box to show the changes of state labeled X, Y, and Z. You may use each word once, more than once, or not at all. We have boiling, condensing, crystallization, diffusion, and freezing. So X क्या है? X is liquid, to gas. What is liquid to gas known as? Liquid to gas को हम कहते हैं boiling. What is why? Why is gas to liquid? तो gas to liquid को हम क्या नाम देते हैं? Condensing. Z क्या है? Liquid to solid. Liquid to solid is Z. तो Z को हम क्या नाम देंगे? Liquid to solid क्या होता है? Freezing. When something freezes, water freezes into ice. क्या हो रहा है? That is changing from liquid to solid. Which statement best describes the movement of the particles in a gas? The particles vibrate about fixed position. This is solid. हमें gas चाहिए. The particles slide past one another. This is liquid. The particles move freely. Yes, this is gas. The particles do not move at all. This is again solid. तो आपका आंसर क्या हो जाएगा? C is your correct answer. The diagram shows apparatus that can be used to measure the melting point of a solid. The solid is placed in a small tube. The small tube is then put into a liquid contained in a beaker. The liquid is gently heated and the temperature at which solid Q melts is recorded. Give the name of the apparatus labeled P. इनमें से P क्या है? ये P is a thermometer ना? What is P? P I can just see it's a normal thermometer. Solid Q melts at 140 degrees Celsius. Explain why water is not a suitable liquid to use in the experiment. अगर मैं कहूँ कि जो solid Q है वो मेरा melt कर रहा है 140 degrees Celsius. Why is then water is not a suitable liquid to use in this experiment? अगर मेरा solid Q melt कर रहा है. Because water boils at 100. क्या होगा? Before reaching 140, water would already be boiled at 100. मतलब it's funny, right? Because you're using water as a medium. And the thing is that solid Q, you have to melt solid Q. Solid Q melts at 140 degrees Celsius. Water जो है, या को solid और Q हो गया, water जो है, that melts at 100 degrees Celsius. And solid Q melts at 140 degrees Celsius. तो फर्क क्या है? Which one of these would boil first? Now, why is water not a suitable liquid? Water is not a suitable liquid because water would be dissipated. It would eventually boil. Use any other liquid that has a temperature higher than solid Qs. For example, use ethanol, which has a temperature of higher than 140, but not lower than 140. So that is why water would already be boiled at 100 degrees Celsius. Suggest why the liquid in the beaker needs to be stirred constantly. ऐसा कौन सा liquid है? हमने क्यों? Why do we have to stir the liquid? हम क्यों mix करते रहते हैं? So the heat can be equally divided. So the heat can be equally divided, or the temperature can remain constant. Temperature can remain same. इसलिए हम stirring करते रहते हैं. Why do we stir something? ताकि वो heat जो है वो equally divide हो जाए. Substances can be classified as elements, compounds, or mixture. We haven't done this chapter yet, but let me tell you, each of the diagram below represent either an element, a compound, or a mixture. So state which one of these is represented by each diagram. अगर मैं helium की बात करूँ, helium क्या है? ये तो independent है सारे. So helium is an element. अगर हम 2 को देखें, we have carbon and oxygen joined together. ये तो आपका CO2 molecule है. And CO2 is a compound. Compound क्या होता है? We haven't studied this yet. ये हमारा next chapter. But compound is more than 2 elements. जब आपके पास more than 2 elements होते हैं, you form a compound. ये क्या है? We have He and O. We have an element and we have a compound together. Element and compound together make up a mixture. अगर हम इसकी बात करें, ये हमारे पास O2 है. अब O2 क्या है? Itself is a diatomic element. ये O2 क्या है? Element है. If I tell you to remember some diatomic atoms, diatomic कौन-कौन से होते हैं? There are 7 basic diatomic molecules. कौन-कौन से हैं? Remember that. O2, oxygen, nitrogen. Diatomic means always together when they are 2. Oxygen हमेशा O नहीं होगा. It would always be O2. Nitrogen would be N2. फिर आपने याद रखना है F2, H2, Cl2, Br2, and I2. These are the 7 basic diatomic molecules that you have to remember. बहुत important चीज है. Substances
हाँ
can be classified as solids, liquids, or gases. Each of the diagram below represents either a solid, a liquid, or a gas. State which one of these is represented by a diagram. ये हमारे पास क्या है? Would you like to answer this question? What is the first one?
solid
And what is the second one?
gas
Simple. The diagram shows
हाँ
ammonium chloride being
पर
heated in a
उसमें
test.
आपने compound
Yes.
लिखा था जब O2 था ऊपर आपने कंपाउंड लिखा था उसको नंबर 3 में
No, 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 no. You don't understand. We have a helium plus we have oxygen. Over here, we only have oxygen. When we only have oxygen, वो तो element है, that is a diatomic element itself. We'll be covering this chapter, it would be pretty much clear. यहाँ पे क्या है? One of these was an element and one of these is also an element. जब आपको mixture of two elements होता है, ये mixture of element and compound होता है, they then make up a mixture. Got it?
okay
The diagram shows ammonium chloride being heated in a test tube. ये आपके पास ammonium chloride है, and here the white solid being formed and mixture A after being heated. The formula of ammonium chloride is NH4Cl. How many different elements are there in ammonium chloride? We have nitrogen, we have hydrogen, we have chlorine. So how many different do we have? Three different elements. Identify the two gases in mixture A. We haven't covered this chapter, इसलिए आपको थोड़ी issue होगा. एक आपके पास ammonia बनेगा, ठीक है, you take NH4 में से NH3 निकाल दें और दूसरी आपके पास एक HCl गैस निकलेगी. तो white solid B होगा. Again, the white solid B would still be ammonium chloride, NH4Cl itself. This is from our next chapter. Place crosses in two boxes to identify the processes that occur in the test tube. तो कौन से दो processes हो रहे हैं आपके पास test tube के अंदर? We also have, अगर हम heat कर रहे हैं तो एक तो हमारे पास चीज हो रही है decomposition. Decomposition is known as breakdown और न्यूट्रलाइजेशन भी हो रहा है. विल बी डूइंग दिस इन एसिड बेसिस एंड सॉल्ट्स. या आपके पास न्यूट्रलाइजेशन रिएक्शन भी हो रहा है जब हम किसी का पीएच 7 तक ले आते हैं, व्हेन वी न्यूट्रलाइज अ सब्सटेंस. तो ये भी आपका पास वो एसिड बेसिस एंड सॉल्ट्स वाले चैप्टर में से